Hi y'all! Today I'm here to talk about my Shorty September TBR. There's honestly no overstating how much Shorty September is my reading Super Bowl. This is like the reading event of the year to me. And even whenever I haven't posted anything for a while, I always come back to post my Shorty September TBR, which I've never like successfully like wrapped up. I did do all the reading for it mostly. However, I just didn't follow through on like actually wrapping up that for everyone, but it changes this year. This year is going to be so different. We're going to read all of our books and we're going to record a wrap-up video and tell you everything about it. And honestly, I think this is my best TBR yet. So if you're not familiar with Shorty September, it's a readathon hosted by Sean and Bert over at the Storytime, as well as Heather. Oh my gosh, her previous YouTube was Soggy Expect Book Nerd, but she's changed it. It's going to be linked down below. But they always put together this wonderful event because not only is it like my type of reading, I love reading short things, and I think really focusing on short things leads to a lot of experimentation, taking risks on books. Like I picked up so many books for this that I've never heard anyone talk about, and could be very bad, but could be amazing. And that's like one of the joys of like reading something short is you can just, you haven't put too much time into it, so you can take risks. But in addition to having us all look into this beautiful genre, they always put together wonderful prompts and wonderful art, and I printed mine off in black and white, but oh my gosh, Heather made these and they're like all specific to each prompt. So like Rockstar shorts, it looks like David Bowie. How wonderful. I just in love with it. So I'm just going to tell you all the prompts and what I picked for it, and yeah. Okay, so the first one is Jorts, jean shorts, and it's to read something from the 70s or 80s. And I picked Little Birds by Anais Nin. I just got this at Sappho Books in Sydney recently, which was a beautiful used bookstore. And so I'm excited that I get to read it so soon. It is groundbreaking erotic writings with striking revelations of sexuality and women's inner lives. Subtle explicit means that you reveal arousal. I like a sexy book, and a short sexy book. I think this is going to be wonderful. And it was first published in 1979. So I guess it was released posthumously. That's what I could tell, was that it was first published in 1979 and she died in 77. So that's a history for me to find out. So far, I've just picked the books. I know nothing about them. So New Metal Bermuda shorts, read a book that mixes genre. I always try to add one of these into Shorty September because a couple of years ago, I had my year of Dick where I was supposed to like read a Philip K. Dick every month, and I failed that one. But I'm like slowly making progress. I'm reading like a couple a year. It's like my only book that I have most of a full collection of. Not a full collection, but that I have like over 10 of the ones that are in this series. But now I've moved to a different country and these are not published here. So I guess I'm going to have to switch gears if I want to get any more Philip K. Dick books in Australia. But I picked Vulcan's Hammer, which, you know, it's kind of hard to know what mixes genre before you read something, but Philip K. Dick is always mixing like more classic science fiction with, you know, religion and philosophy, which is, you know, what a lot of science fiction has philosophical elements to it, but I feel like it's a little bit more heavy-handed, how the religion, like that it brings in real world religion sometimes. Not that this one necessarily does, but I think it will mix genre enough to have this be a decent pick. After the 20th century's devastating series of wars, the world's governments banded together into one globe-spanning entity committed to peace at all cost. Ensuring the peace is the Vulcan supercomputer, which is responsible for all the major decisions of this world. People feel like it's taking the place of God. So they don't like that people are being taken out of the equation. So is this Vulcan computer going to help us? It says that the computer has its own plans. So I think that one sounds interesting. Again, I've never heard anyone, I never look up reviews of any Philip K. Dick books, because even the ones that I've liked the least, still, I cannot explain why I like his writing so much, because frequently it's cringe and, you know. Rockstar shorts. Read a book and pair it with a song or album. What a wonderful prompt. And like, I originally was going to pick one of my later selections for this, but I instead decided to do Claire Keegan's Small Things Like These, which is an Irish book, and my plan is, I don't know a lot about Irish music, and so I saw like you can go on Spotify, or you know, I can do my own research elsewhere, but I was thinking like listening to like an Irish pop playlist or an Irish indie playlist, and then finding a new favorite out of there. So listening to a mixture of Irish artists and then listening to a full album from one of those artists, and I think we'll learn a lot about Ireland in the process. So I'm excited to read this, which is set in 1985 in an Irish town around Christmas, and deals with a small community that is controlled by the church. I almost picked this one for one later too, for one that you've seen other people read, because I feel like everyone's already read this before me, but now is my time. The next one is Half and Half Shorts, and it's for reading a book and then watching the movie, or the other way around. It is so hard for me to admit that I have never seen Don't Look Now, and I have only read Rebecca from Daphne du Maurier, so now's the time. I thought about doing The Birds, but I've really had Don't Look Now on, because I've also never seen or read that. But I've had this on my watch list forever, and I think I'm gonna watch the movie first, because I want to watch it with Daniel, and I don't want to already know what happens before we see it together. Paperback shorts is to buy a book and read it, and I just bought this in Sydney. I'm not buying any new books for a little bit, because I just bought so many. Closer by Dennis Cooper. I had originally thought to do it for the pairing a song, the book with a song, because I was like 9 Inch Nails Closer, but I didn't really know how that felt like a pairing, and I just felt like there was a more interesting way to do that. But I also saw that this is on Sean's TBR, which is so exciting, and I think it's just going to be a very Dennis Cooper-y kind of book. There's splatter films, pornography, nightclubs, provocative classic. This is an ideal shorty for me. I like something that's just a little burst of something maybe transgressive. For the supermarket 2-pack shorts bundle to read a nonfiction book that ties in with another of your shorties, I found, oh my gosh, I love researching for Shorty September, because there's just so many books that you've never heard of. Summer at Tiffany by Marjorie Hart, which is about a shop girl in the 50s working at Tiffany, and I think there's gonna be celebs of the era in there. The synopsis mentioned like Judy Garland coming in, and I love something that's about like a very specific ecosystem. So I think it's interesting about maybe like the social sphere and politics of working at a store like Tiffany. I love stories that are set in New York, and this is a nonfiction book. And I'm just really looking forward to it. But how does this pair with another one of my shorties? Look at the back of this. Is this not Tiffany blue? I just feel like I've nailed that prompt, and that's you know, very, very cool and unexpected of me. So I'm really so excited about these books. Shorts with pockets. Read a book with something on the cover that could fit in a pocket. And for this, I have picked The Bloater by Rosemary Tonks, which is a British tender comedy of manners. I got this used recently and don't know anything about it. A long lost classic is how it's described. About Min, who works at the BBC as an audio engineer, who's being pursued by her lodger, who is a opera singer who disgusts and attracts her in equal measure. For micro shorts, to read a poetry book or read a book with a breakup in it, I've picked Swimming Lessons by Lily Reinhart, which I haven't listened to audio poetry in a long time, and it just seems like such a wonderful way to read a poetry collection, to listen to the author read them to you themselves. And it's both a poetry collection, but I think it's about like love and heartbreak and stuff. And again, this is just like something I found, and we'll see if it's fun. For the summer cookout shorts, read a book and eat or cook something to go with it. Again, wow, what a prompt. I'm so excited. I'm reading Fermentation as Metaphor by Sandor Alex Katz. And this is an author who wrote like a big book on fermentation, like a cooking guide to fermentation, I believe. But this one is about really fermentation as metaphor and thinking about the chemical changes in something and transition. That's all I know because I've not read the book yet. But to cook something to go with this, I'm so excited. From the Homemade Vegan Pantry, which is the Miyoko Shinner book, she was the head of Miyoko's Creamery, which whenever I was in the US, I was able to buy fairly nice vegan cheese. They don't have that in Australia. There's no like widespread nice vegan cheese. Like you can, if you live in a big city or on the coast, like you probably have a shop in your, you know, like Sydney had so many excellent cheeses, but not available if you live in the country. But I'm going to be making cheese. I'm going to be making vegan cheese. So you make this Rejuvelac from quinoa, and you like ferment the quinoa, and it makes a lactic acid rich Rejuvelac, which is what cues the fermentation in something like a vegan mozzarella or cheddar. So you're fermenting cashews and various other ingredients. But I've never made my own cheese before, so I'm really excited to both like ferment something for the first time and also to make the cheese, because I love fermented things. Like I was thinking, like whenever I even first found this book, like, oh, I'll just make a kimchi something, but I do that all the time anyway, so we're gonna be trying something new. For Leopard Print shorts, read a book you've seen someone reading in the wild, can be in public or online. Again, we are so inspired by Sean. I'm going to read A Magical Girl Retires by Park So-yoon, which is inspired by like magical girl manga. Don't really know I mean, I just saw her talk about it, but that was my main takeaway. I was like, oh, that's a beautiful cover and I want to read it. So we'll find out for ourselves. So I just saw someone read that, and yeah, I love a magical girl. Zip Off Trousers, read a book with a title that could be shorter. I'm going to be reading Look at the Lights, My Love by Annie Ernaux, which I've only read her books before, like a couple of her books, and they've all been about like love, I believe, and this one is more about society and capitalism. So I really don't know any of her politics beyond the personal. So I'm just gonna dive in blind and see how I get along with it, because I've loved the other stuff that I've read by her. For Rip Shorts, read a mystery or slasher. I am going to be reading The Butcher of Camp Barlo by Derek Slatton. Again, I've never heard of this book. I just found it on Scribd, which is now called Everand, and it was just like a short slasher set at a summer camp, which sounds like something that I would really enjoy. Yeah, so I don't think I need to know too much more about it going in. But those are all the books that I'm reading for. I'll show them to you. Those are all the books that I'm reading for Shorty September. These are all of the physical books that are on my TBR. The other ones are mostly audiobooks, but I have so many more possibilities that I have available to me, both physical. I don't think I'm going to commit to reading any more physical books this next month, but I have so many audiobooks saved, and like that's not even including ebooks, and I always have an ebook going, so I really think it's going to be a successful Shorty September, and I know I'm gonna film a wrap up this time. I just am. So thank you to Sean and Bert and Heather for putting this on again. I'm so excited. I really think that, I mean, the art's been cool in the past, like the zine last year was so cool, but these like tarot cards are inspired. They're excellent. So I'm just so excited. The hardest part about Shorty September is whenever the prompts get announced and you make your TBR and you're like waiting to pick them up, honestly. And it's really well timed because this is what I'm reading for the next No Cartridge Cheat You Know reread. So it's gonna feel like a well-earned reward for reading. I mean, this is the longest book I've read in a long time. And tell me why reading like a 500, 600 page book feels like so much longer than reading 250, 300 page books. I don't understand. So many more possibilities here. So hopefully I get to some more of those as well. But thank you for watching and joining me for my TBR. I want to know what you're reading. I want to know if you've read any of these books. Please just talk to me in the comments. Like I love a book chat. So I'll talk to y'all again soon. Bye.